At Thanksgiving dinner, my aunt snapped mid-meal, screaming, I should have been the one Grandpa left everything to, not her. She pounded her fist on the table, knocked over wine glasses, and started sobbing about how unfair life was, while listing out all the times she had tried to manipulate him into changing his will. She thought she was winning sympathy. Instead, guests sat frozen, recording everything. She destroyed any chance of contesting the will. And by morning, she was getting roasted online by her own extended family. I'm 32. I live in Akron, Ohio, not far from where I grew up. I work for the city, doing housing inspections. It's not exciting, but it's stable, and I don't mind crawling through basements or attics if it means I'm helping people. My name's Kate, but everyone in my family calls me Katie. My grandpa, Joe, was the one who raised me after my mom died. She was his oldest daughter. Breast cancer took her when I was 16. After that, I moved in with Grandpa and we got close. Real close. He was more of a dad to me than anyone else ever had been. My dad checked out long before my mom passed, and off after she was gone, I didn't hear from him again. Grandpa was a stubborn old Marine, gruff but kind. He cooked breakfast every morning, told me stories about growing up poor, and always made time for me, even when he was hurting. As he got older, I was the one who took care of him. I drove him to the VA, sorted his pills, handled his online banking. He trusted me with everything. Then there was Aunt Denise, my mom's younger sister. She lived in Pittsburgh and only came around when she needed money or wanted something. She wasn't horrible when we were kids, just always dramatic. Always loud. Always right. Always looking for sympathy. Over time, Grandpa got tired of it. He never cut her off fully, but the visits got fewer, the phone calls shorter. He'd say things like, that girl can't walk past a mirror without talking to it, or, she's got champagne dreams on a gas station budget. So when Grandpa died last May, I knew it'd be rough. But I didn't expect what came next. The funeral was small. Grandpa didn't want a big fuss. Denise showed up late, in a leopard print dress, crying harder than anyone, even me. She had sunglasses on inside the church and kept whispering about how close they were, even though nobody had seen her around in months. I stayed polite like always. 3 weeks later, we had the will reading. Grandpa had told me, more than once, Katie girl, I got it all written down. You won't have to worry. But I didn't expect what came next. He left me everything. The house. The savings, nearly $300,000. His old Ford pickup. His coin collection. His antique tools. His rifles. His VA benefits. His pension. All of it. Denise got zero. The lawyer read it out loud, and I'll never forget the sound Denise made. It wasn't a gasp. It was like a dog whimpering while getting kicked. Then she laughed, this weird, bitter sound, and asked if it was a joke. The lawyer, dead serious, said, This is the most recent and legal copy of the will, signed and witnessed. She stood up and said, He must have been confused. He didn't know what he was doing. The lawyer said, He had full mental capacity when this was signed last year. She looked at me like I'd stabbed her in the back. You made him do this, she said. You manipulated him. You're a gold-digging little brat. I didn't say a word. After that, Denise barely spoke to me. She'd post passive-aggressive stuff on Facebook like, some people forget who loved them first, or blood doesn't mean loyalty. I ignored it. But then Thanksgiving came. I hosted Thanksgiving this year. Grandpa's house is mine now. I remodeled the kitchen, painted the living room, cleaned everything. I invited the whole family, Denise included. I didn't want drama. I figured if she came, maybe we could just move on. Big mistake.
It was around 4 p.m.
We were halfway through the meal. I'd made turkey, stuffing, green bean casserole, sweet potatoes, the whole thing. Everyone was eating, laughing, drinking wine. My cousin Andy had just told a joke about his coworker falling into a porta potty when Denise dropped her fork and slammed both palms on the table. I should have been the one Grandpa left everything to, she shouted. Everyone froze. She stood up. Not her.
Me.
Wine glasses rattled. My uncle looked like he was choking on a roll. My niece started crying. Denise pointed right at me. I was his daughter. Not her. I was his family. You think wiping his butt and checking his bank statements makes you the heir? I was his blood. I tried everything to get him to change that damn will. She went on a rant, listing out all the times she had come to reconnect, pretending to be there for him, when really, she admitted, she was just trying to get him to rewrite the will. She told stories, loud, wild stories, about driving in from Pittsburgh and crying on his porch, about bringing him pie, about begging him to reconsider. And that old bastard wouldn't budge, she screamed. He chose her over me. She was shaking, red in the face. At some point, she knocked over a wine glass. It shattered on the floor.
She didn't care.
She kept sobbing about how unfair life was, how she gave up so much for a man who gave her nothing in the end. What she didn't notice, or maybe didn't care, was that everyone had their phones out. My cousin's wife had hers up the whole time. She caught the whole thing on video. Denise, losing her mind, pounding the table, screaming about manipulating Grandpa, knocking over wine, calling him an old bastard and me a greedy bitch. By dessert, it was already online. By the time I finished wrapping up the leftover pumpkin pie and tossing the ruined tablecloth into the trash, my phone was blowing up. I didn't even know the video had been posted until my cousin texted me with a link and said, "It's going viral in the family group. Thought you should see." I clicked the link. There she was,
Denise.
in full meltdown mode, screaming, slamming her fist on the table, saying, clear as day, I tried everything to get him to change that damn will. It had been recorded in portrait mode, not the best angle, but you could hear her perfectly. The clinking glasses, the stunned silence, someone gasping. It was all there. That video got shared in 3 different family group chats before I even had a chance to reply. It was in the Facebook group my great-aunt Martha runs, the one for family news and updates. By morning, it had 113 comments. And none of them were on Denise's side. One of the cousins from Florida posted, "Wow, didn't realize she was like this. Disgraceful." Another relative I hadn't spoken to since Grandpa's funeral commented, "Can't believe she admitted to manipulating him on camera. That's wild." Even Denise's own daughter, my cousin Carly, replied with a sad emoji and said, "I'm sorry for anyone who had to sit through this. That hurt her the most." Carly and Denise have always had a rocky relationship, but this was the first time Carly said anything publicly. Denise texted her that night, screaming in all caps, "You're choosing her over your own mother?" Carly responded with a screenshot of the video and just wrote, "You chose this, not me." Denise didn't respond. Then things started getting worse for her. 2 days later, I got a call from my lawyer. He told me someone had filed a request to contest the will. He didn't have to say her name, I knew. Denise thought that video ruined her chances? She didn't care. She tried anyway. But the problem was, she wasn't just seen as unstable anymore. Now, she was on video admitting that she had tried to influence a dying man's legal choices. That she had lied to him, pressured him, faked emotions. My lawyer said, "I've seen a lot, but this one's open and shut. If anything, this makes your case stronger." Still, the court had to acknowledge the challenge. That meant more paperwork. That meant Denise was going to keep stirring the pot. Sure enough, she started showing up at places she never used to. She showed up at Grandpa's old church, my church now, and stood in the back, staring at me the whole service. She showed up outside my job once. Just stood across the street in her car, watching me walk to my truck. Didn't get out. Didn't say anything. Just sat there with her sunglasses on. I reported it to my boss. He said if she stepped on the property, we'd call the police. She didn't, not yet. But the family wasn't backing her anymore. The group chats went quiet when she joined them. People stopped replying to her comments. Even her own sister, my Aunt Gail, unfriended her. That caused another meltdown. Denise posted a 4-paragraph rant on Facebook about snakes in the grass and family betrayal. She claimed the video was edited and taken out of context. Nobody believed her. Because the truth was, that wasn't the only video. Other people had filmed it too. One from the other side of the table. One from behind. Each one caught a different part. Her face twisted in rage. The moment she slapped her wine glass, the second she screamed, "I should have been the one." It became a meme. Some cousin in Michigan took a screenshot of her mid-scream and put the caption, "When your inheritance plan blows up in 4K. Even teenagers in the family were joking about it on TikTok. It wasn't just embarrassing. It was humiliating. About a week after the video went viral, I got a knock on my door. It was early, around 7:30 in the morning. I was still in my robe, holding a cup of coffee. I opened the door, and there she was.
Denise.
No makeup. No loud clothes. Just jeans and a jacket. She looked like she hadn't slept. "I need to talk to you," she said. I didn't move. I didn't say anything. "Please," she added, voice low. "I'm not here to yell." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. She looked around the porch, like she was expecting someone else to be there. Then she turned back to me. "I'm not going to win in court."
"I know that," she said.
"But I need you to know why I did it." I stayed quiet. "I wasn't trying to screw you," she said. I thought if I got something, maybe I could finally fix my life." I folded my arms. "You didn't come here to talk about your life, Denise. You came here because you lost and now you want sympathy." Her face changed. That old bitterness came creeping back. "You don't know what it's like. I'm drowning in debt. I owe back taxes. I got creditors calling every day. Then maybe don't show up at a family holiday trying to snatch money from a dead man." She flinched. That's when she changed tactics. "If you gave me even a little bit, just the truck or the savings, I wouldn't bother you again." I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just came out. "You humiliated yourself on Thanksgiving," I said. "You tried to smear Grandpa. You called me a bitch in front of our entire family. And now you want the truck." She blinked.
"He would have wanted me to have something."
"He wanted me to have everything," I said. "That's what the will says. That's what he told me." She stared at me for a long time, jaw tight. Then she turned and walked down the steps. "Denise," I said.
She stopped.
"I've got cameras. Don't come back here again." She didn't say a word, just got in her car and drove off. I thought that was the end of it. But then I got a letter. Not from Denise, from the city. Turns out someone had filed a complaint with the zoning department about illegal renovations at my property. Said I was operating a rental unit without a license. That I'd modified the structure without permits. I work for the city. I knew exactly how this process worked. And I knew immediately this was her. She had filed fake complaints to try and get me investigated. But the thing was, I'd done everything by the book. Every permit. Every inspection. I even had copies of everything signed and dated. Still, the zoning team had to send someone out. They showed up a few days later. It was awkward, a co-worker of mine named Terry. He looked embarrassed as he stood on my porch holding the clipboard. "Katie,
I'm sorry.
we have to follow up on anonymous tips." "I get it," I said. "Want coffee?" He checked the property, took photos, reviewed my permits. After 20 minutes, he shook his head. "This was a waste of time," he said. "Everything's legal." I nodded. "Can I file a harassment complaint for false reporting?" He looked surprised. "Well, yeah, you could." So I did. And then Denise got a letter. This time she was being investigated for abuse of city resources. Then came the final twist. Carly, Denise's daughter, messaged me privately. She said, "Can we talk? I need to show you something." We met at a diner the next day. She looked nervous. She had her phone out already. She slid it across the table. "I found this on Mom's computer when I went over to check on her. She's been not okay, but you need to see this." I pressed play.
It was a video file.
A screen recording. Emails. Emails Denise had sent to Grandpa.
Begging.
Guilt-tripping. Offering to handle everything if he just made the right decision with the will. One said, "I don't care if Katie cries. I've been your daughter longer." Another said, "You owe me. I'm the one who stuck around when Mom died." Don't forget who I am. Carly looked at me. She never thought anyone would see those. But I couldn't just delete them. I stared at the phone. This was evidence. Not just of manipulation, but of emotional abuse. Grandpa didn't change the will out of anger. He did it to protect his legacy from her. I took those emails straight to my lawyer the next morning. He read through them quietly, no expression on his face. When he finished, he looked up at me and said, "This seals it. We're not just defending the will anymore. We're going after her for intentional interference." "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means we can sue her. For trying to destroy your relationship with your grandfather. For trying to cheat you out of your inheritance. And for knowingly filing false legal complaints." I didn't say anything right away. I'd never sued anyone before. But I knew one thing. Denise wasn't going to stop unless I made her stop. "Do it," I said. "Let's make this official." The lawsuit hit her like a brick to the face. She posted a long Facebook rant calling me a greedy backstabber and accusing me of ripping our family apart. But this time, no one responded. Not one like. Not one comment. She started calling Carly, begging her to get me to drop the suit. Carly blocked her number. She sent me a handwritten letter saying she was sick and broke and couldn't handle the stress. That she was sorry if things got out of hand. That she just wanted something to remember Dad by. I didn't respond. The day of the hearing, Denise showed up in the same clothes I'd seen her in weeks ago. Her face was puffy. Her voice was quiet. For once, she didn't try to make a scene. My lawyer presented the emails, the videos, the zoning complaints, the will. The judge didn't even need an hour. He ruled in my favor. The will stayed untouched. Denise's challenge was dismissed with prejudice, meaning she could never bring it up again. And the court ordered her to pay part of my legal fees. As the judge read the ruling, Denise started crying. But it wasn't the kind of crying that gets sympathy. It was the kind that sounded like regret. The kind that comes when you realize you've burned every bridge behind you and there's no one left on the shore. That night, I sat in Grandpa's chair, the old recliner he kept by the window, and stared out at the quiet street. I thought about everything. The holidays, the yelling, the way she looked when she realized no one believed her anymore. I should have felt satisfied, but I didn't. Not completely. Because the truth is I'd changed too. I'd let anger win. I'd stopped seeing her as my aunt and started seeing her as an enemy. I wasn't proud of all of it. I wasn't proud that it had gotten this far. That it had gone public. That our family had turned into a courtroom war. I could have offered her something when she came that morning. A chair. A chance to explain. Maybe even some grace. But I didn't. And maybe she didn't deserve it. But maybe I had let this fight twist me, too. Still, I didn't regret defending Grandpa. I didn't regret standing my ground. I didn't regret making sure his last wishes were respected. What I regretted was that there had to be a war in the first place. Last I heard, Denise moved out of state. Some tiny apartment in western Kentucky.
No one talks to her now. Not even Carly.
The family still jokes about Thanksgiving sometimes. But now it comes with a pause. A silence. A shared understanding that not every fight ends clean. But some fights? They need to end. Even if it costs you something to win.